I've been getting tagged all day. This is nothing new. Mexicans have always come to the rescue and have never been given credit. Why? I've been getting tagged all day. It's 10:59 p.m. Y'all know how this goes. They weren't given their credit because they're Mexican. This country only want to highlight Mexicans for criminal activity or deportation methods. They don't want to highlight them for nothing else. Do you really think they was going to put that in the media that two Mexican young ladies saved those girls, the 20 girls that were in Texas in the flood and all of that? No, they couldn't let that information hit the headlines because that would cause you to view Mexicans in a positive light, which this country is so fixated on not doing. Are you really surprised? Or are you really surprised? And what that means is, are you surprised that they're Mexican, or are you surprised that the media in America hasn't said nothing? Maybe you're surprised at both. The bottom line is this: if it's anything positive, it's not going to get put in the media because whites can't take the credit for that. They would have rather seen two white teenagers rescue those young ladies from the flood, but because they were Mexican, they don't want to give that credit. You know how this country is by now.
On the conversation of the devastating flash flood situation in Texas, some heroes seen at that scene that people are not allowing pass by at all. People are acknowledging their strength, their compassion, the empathy that these people have to come to the rescue of the family, friends, and people affected in this devastating situation. So in the middle of the most heartbreaking disaster to hit Texas, the devastating flash floods that have taken lives, family, a team of Mexican rescuers crossed the border and showed up for help. And they were not the only one. There are other two young girls as well who have been able to rescue 20 girls from Misty Camp. And yes, you heard that right, Mexican rescuer. And this is another conversation because you all know what these people have been going through and the hands of the government that they are now coming in to rescue their people. From mass deportation to ICE raid and policy after policy that makes it clear that so many of them in power view Mexicans as disposable, these people still put on their rescue gear and came out to rescue these people. And this has got a lot of people talking. A lot of people are online as well clapping for them. And to the two girls as well who have been able to rescue about 20 girls from Misty Camp. Let's get into it.
Despite the constant attacks and belittling by the U.S. president and some of its residents, Mexico was once again stepping up to help U.S. citizens in their time of need. Firefighters with Fundación 911 out of Ciudad Acuña just crossed the border to help search for Texans missing after catastrophic flash flooding. Think about that. Mexican rescue crews risking their lives to save American kids who got swept away in flooding. And this is not some one-off event. When hurricanes slam the Gulf, Mexico sends search teams. When wildfires torch California, Mexican firefighters cross over to help. After 9/11, they even offer disaster relief crews. Over and over again, Mexico steps in to help protect American lives. Meanwhile, the same people getting rescued hear politicians and plenty of loudmouths online demonize Mexicans as criminals and invaders. That is fucking bullshit. So the next time you hear someone trashing Mexico, remember who was pulling Texans out of a raging river this week when it's not even their country. Remember who shows up when disasters hit. Those aren't criminals, those are neighbors, and they've got a whole lot more heart than the folks who keep trying to build a wall to shut them out.
While most of the news is focused on tragedy when it comes to the Texas floods, this story deserves the spotlight. Meet Silvana Garza and Maria Paula Zarate, two 19-year-old women from Mexico that were so brave. They are the real-life heroes in the flash floods in Kerr County. There are multiple reports that say that both of these girls saved around 20 of the campers from Mystic. These two remarkable young women did not freeze. They took action. They grabbed flashlights, they woke up the girls, and they directed them to go to higher grounds, sometimes carrying some of the girls. This story needs to be told. Mainstream media is not reporting this. We're just seeing it on social media. And everybody's wondering, how come this story isn't being told? These are the kind of heroes that we need to hear about. Women, Latina, brave, smart, ready to spring into action when it was needed the most.
I have an update on the 2 Mexican girls who saved the lives of 20 young girls in the Texas floods over this weekend. First of all, I would like to fact check 2 things. In my previous video, I stated that these girls' names were Natalia and Jimena. When I made the previous video, it was really hard for me to find any information on these 2 girls, and I somehow ended up with those names. But their actual names are Silvana and Maria Paula. These 2 girls are Mexican nationals who were working at Camp Mystique as counselors. The second part we need to clear up is that although they did save 20 girls' lives, it wasn't with a mattress. This is what actually happened according to an interview that Silvana and Maria Paula did with Spanish news stations. Silvana and Maria Paula stated that they woke up at 3 in the morning due to the loud noises that the rain was making. That is when they realized that a flood was happening. So they gathered the girls that they were taking care of in their cabin and moved them to a safer area. Later on that day, they met up with other counselors and were made aware that some of the girls in another cabin were missing, and the only girls that survived were there with them. Silvana and Maria Paula took it upon themselves not to let these little girls know what was happening. Even though a lot of these little girls were asking for their sisters, their cousins, and their friends, Silvana and Maria Paula took it upon themselves to comfort them and keep them entertained as they waited for an evacuation from the military. When the army arrived, they evacuated the first set of girls. When the first set was gone, Silvana and Maria Paula stated that they didn't know if the army was going to be able to make it back to evacuate the remaining girls and themselves on time. So they had to act fast. They grabbed a Sharpie, wrote each girl's name on their arm, and they wrote their names on their arms. Scared, cold, and without a clue of what was happening, they had to focus on keeping these little girls calm and had no time to be afraid for themselves. Thankfully, the military was able to come back and evacuate all the little girls along with the remaining counselors. As of today, Monday, July 7, the surviving young girls and the counselors are back home, and as I make this video, there are still 10 girls missing from Camp Mystique. My thoughts and prayers are with the families of these young kids. And to Silvana and Maria Paula, we praise you, we thank you, and we appreciate you. Many news outlets in English are not speaking on their story, so make sure you guys share and let everybody know who they are.
Does this make you think, like, what's really going on? Like, why are you trying to hide people who are actually saving lives? Oh, it's because the wrong superhero is the wrong complexion, right? Y'all know the floods that's in Texas, right? That happened. And y'all know how many people had passed away because of the waters. Why don't we hear about any heroes, right? Or why didn't we hear about these heroes? Because it's not being talked about on media, just the people that's being missing, but not the 2 19-year-old girls who are barely out of high school, risked their lives to save 20 young girls during this Texas floods. Where's that footage at? Why don't you see their faces? And I dug a little deep, and you know why we don't see their faces? Because they're Mexican. That's what I feel. That's my point of view. The flood in Texas hit hard. The waters was rising, chaos was everywhere, and 20 young little girls were trapped. While some were frozen, not literally, but frozen, these 2 19-year-olds moved. Silvana Garza Valdez and Maria Paula Zarte, 2 Mexican teens, ran towards the danger and pulled those girls to safety, one by one.
Riverbanks littered with mangled trees on Saturday, July 5th, searching for more than 24 miners and many others missing after a wall of water rushed down a river in the Cantry Mountains region of Texas. The storm left at least 32 people dead, including 14 children. Amid the tragedy lies the story of hope of 2 19-year-old Mexican women, Silvana Garza Valdez and Maria Paula Cerati, who saved 20 girls in their care during a Christian camp that was being held in the state. During an interview, both young women recounted the tense moments they experienced in country, as the rain was so intense that they were unable to carry out the activities they had planned. As a result, they decided to take shelter from the rain in cabins while awaiting official information. Silvana shared that around 3 in the morning the power went out in the camp, so the fans stopped working and they decided to protect the younger girls to avoid an accident. They even implemented a survival and identification strategy.
This is what's being reported that I found. They didn't wait for cameras. They didn't do for likes. They just did it because it was human decency, right? And let's be clear. They're not from Spain like some posts are saying. They are Mexican, Latina, you know? And they showed a level of courage that deserves to be remembered and heard. Yeah. So the main people that y'all trying to deport is the main people that's saving your kids. Some folks argue about the borders and the stereotypes, and the 2 young women. The 2 young women showed us the real humanity, what it looks like. They're not looking at people's skin of how they talk or the religion. They're just doing it. They're just saving lives. You are heroes. You are heroes. You are heroes, and I see you. More should see you. There's other people on TikTok that's talking about y'all. So why don't these stories like this, why don't they make headlines? Let's give these girls flowers while they're
2 young Latina girls saved 20 girls at Camp Mystic during the Texas flood. Silvana Garza and Maria Paula were camp counselors at Camp Mystic when the flood occurred. When they realized around 1 a.m. things were going bad, they took care of their girls, even wrote their names on their arms in case something should happen, and moved them to a safer location. Now, to a lot of people, that might not be a lot, but I'm sure those 20 girls' parents are glad that they were taken care of. They gave an interview in full Spanish yesterday where they talked about their experience. Mexican-American 19-year-olds, like still babies. Honestly, at the time where there's so much hatred towards the Latino community, these are the stories that we should be amplifying. At the age of 19, they went through something that nobody should ever go through. They kept their girls cool and collected, fed, ready to evacuate, help them secure their belongings, all while knowing what was going on, because at some point they were told that there were 20 other girls, not from their group, that were missing. They knew it too because they described seeing furniture just like flooding around near them. So thank you, Silvana y
Have you guys been seeing the headline of these Mexican people, coming in to rescue? Because I don't think the media is pushing this headline as much, but if it happens to be getting them arrested and them being labeled as illegal, it's going to catch the headline very fast. These are trained Mexican emergency responders who came in, they crossed the national line and got straight to work, rescuing flood victims and as well supporting overwhelmed Texas crews. They came out, showed out when everything felt like a chaos. I think we should be able to sit with this for a moment, because while the government and the political people are trying to build walls and cage, while on the other hand, these people are being detained for trying to survive, here comes a group of these same people saying, we will help you guys anyway. They put aside everything and came out to rescue these people. This is not just powerful. This is really humbling. And I feel like this shows a deep contradiction in Americans' treatment of immigrants, especially the Mexicans and Latinos, the way the government have painted them for the past few months. Because it is always go back to your country until this same country shows up to rescue their people. It is always you're taking our job until it is time to do the work that not so many of them are stepping up to. This moment forces people to question a lot, forces so many people to come together and clap for them. These are the same people who are still watching their loved ones get detained, deported, or even humiliated at the border. And yet somehow, these people still find it in their hearts to show compassion, to risk their life for a country as often rejected them. That kind of grace, that is not a weakness at all. In fact, that is what true strength is. But yeah, people are saying, will this even change anything for the Mexican people? Because while these people are the one crossing borders to come rescue people, these ICE people are still there arresting people. Why can't they come to the rescue? Is it just to arrest people and detain people that they are equipped for? Because let's be honest, before you know it, it will just be like how inspiring that is, and then they'll move on to the next thing. So yeah, shout out to those Mexican rescuers and to the young 2 Mexican ladies who were able to rescue about 20 Mystic children. And it's not just for what they did, they are also reminding everyone to see what real humanity looks like, but showing up even when the system works against them, and as well proving to the system again that the immigrants are not the problem. We America recognize these people coming to rescue. We America recognize these people putting aside so many things that they are going through, their families being detained, being separated. Would they recognize that, or will they keep biting the hands that reach out to help them? Let me hear what you guys think about this whole thing in the comment section. I am going to see you guys in the next one.